This, but no, this is. Oh yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly. I know. Really. Yep. 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 Yep.
We're making some
I know, right? My results but you know, they said Steve Martin. Would that not be perfect? Oh my gosh, I get chills every time I think of it. Yeah. Yeah, well, I was going to find that she's already great, but after this, he's got to. He came from somewhere outside. So, yeah. Anything that I like, those things that I'm really going to tell you because that is the thing. And he's probably very safe to see. I mean, it's already and so he's got to be elected in Arizona, and we need to keep that's very important. Well, right. I think the governor would have chosen one, but could they get elected? And we already know that. So I was glad of that too. Yeah. She keeps my good butt until they get, it's always a long until they get elected, so I was real pleased. I think so too. I think so exactly. Really? Oh, I kind of like that party. It's great. Well, my brother-in-law.
And that was just the rationale to, and then it's all these other people pressuring him, and he gets to be on the defensive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Those have been things like telling him to stand.
I love my black. My brother-in-law.
I know the building.
Just by the way,
Good evening, everybody. Sorry to interrupt your conversations.
No, you're not.
You're right. I'm not. Good evening, everybody. My name is Andrew Fisher. I am the captain for House District 6A. Thank you. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's good to see so many people, a good chunk more than normal. I think the party as a whole is feeling a little bit better than we did 2 weeks ago, and I hope that energy continues. We have a good program for you tonight. Our last item will be hearing from James Reyes and Sterling Sims, who are two of our Democratic National Convention delegates. They're going to talk a little bit about what the last 2 weeks have been like, what they're expecting for Chicago. Before that, we have a presentation on Initiative 89, which many of you may know by its more common name, which is the abortion rights referendum. It's going to be on the November ballot. But very first, I'd like to introduce our House District 6 Finance Chair, Mark Kamen, who has a few announcements.
Slightly better.
Ka-ching!
Mike, I thought you'd be yelling, woohoo! Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Good turnout. We usually do get a pretty good turnout. We have several announcements before we get into our program, but I also want to introduce our officers. You met Andrew. He is our 6A captain. Matt Ball is sitting there hugging Kathy, our 6A co-captain. Karen Zazzaretti is talking to James Reyes. She's our 6B captain. And Kathy Wilson, standing right there, is our 6B co-captain. And I am your finance chair and your chair for the whole HD6.
It's the money man.
Yeah, the money man, which I will get to, because you all know it's coming. All right, first of all, did anybody see Tim Walz and Kamala Harris on TV at about 4:15? I love this man already, and I knew nothing about him other than he was a governor for Minnesota. I was hoping for Shapiro or Kelly, or I was really hoping for Pete Buttigieg or Gretchen Whitmer, but that was clearly not going to happen. We're not that advanced in this country yet, but one day. Anyway, one of the lines he said, for those of you who didn't see it, he was speaking and he was talking about, Trump lies about everything, and we all know that. And he said, so Trump keeps telling everybody that crime rates were much lower when he was president, and then they went way up when Biden won. Not true. Big surprise. And he said the crime rate was terrible when Trump was the president, and they're not even including all the crimes he committed. I thought that was a good one. All right, I'll start out with donations. We need to raise some money. We have GOTV coming up pretty quickly. And while we are doing well, we need to raise more money. We have to pay the church for the second half of the year meetings. We have supplies we need to get. We have a lot of expenses. So I think there are BREs at your tables. That's this. If you can help us out, please put some money in. If you want to do cash and you've donated before, all I need is your name. I have everything else. If you want to do a check and you've donated before, again, I just need your name on this. If you want to do a credit card, then I need you to fill the whole thing out, because I don't have your credit card numbers stored in my brain. What? So we would really appreciate it. There's I don't know where it went, but there was a bowl for donations. Oh, Janine's walking around with it, so thank you, Vanna. Okay. Next announcement. How many of you came to our picnic and ice cream social? God, no wonder we have so much ice cream left. Well, it's right there, so eat your ice cream, because it ain't going back home in my freezer. I'm done with it. We want to thank everybody. We had a good turnout. We had about 50 people. It was a perfect day. It was only like 83 degrees, which is amazing. So those of you who were there, thank you. Does everybody know September 7th is the annual Denver Democrat dinner. I'm seeing some blank looks. So the dinner is our annual, every year dinner. That's on September 7th at the Doubletree at Martin Luther King Boulevard and Quebec. We've had it there the last 2 years. They've done a great job. We've had a lot of positive feedback. The food is really good, believe it or not. James and I were there last Friday to do the tasting of the food, and it was really good. I really like this place. So if you have not gotten your tickets yet, go on our website. There are flyers on the entrance table, how you can get your tickets. If we get enough people from HD6, I will put a table of all of you together. Right now we have 5 people that have bought dinner tickets. Yeah, you're at that table, Gail. And then I've also bought a separate table where I have everybody I'm friends with sitting there. So get your tickets. We'll put you at the HD6 table, unless you don't want to be at the HD6 table, and then you can tell me where you want to sit. We are still working on our keynote speaker. James and I have been working non-stop with Jason Crow's team to get us a good keynote speaker. The problem is the election is coming up. Nobody wants to leave their home states or areas. Everybody's trying to do what they can to get reelected or help in their state. So we're having a hard time right now getting a keynote. But we will get somebody, even if Mike Lopez has to dress up as somebody. James and I are meeting tomorrow, and we're going to talk to Jason Crow's team. I have some ideas. Anyway, get your dinner tickets. If you are not a Century Club member, there are flyers at the front table. For the first time in 12 months, our Century Club numbers were actually below what we projected.
Really?
Yeah, which is not good, because we've been running way higher. So we're ahead for the year, but in July we were almost $500 under what we budgeted. So if you're not a Century Club member, please join Century Club, because that is the biggest fundraiser for our party. And that money will go to GOTV. So you want to win on November 5th, help us out. Have a question for all of you. How many of you are precinct organizers? Raise your hand. Great. How many of you want to be precinct organizers? Oh, I love you. And you too, Jared.
Yeah.
We want to talk to you before you leave today, because we need to fill some vacancies. If you are a precinct organizer and have been this year, and you didn't get your certificate that we made, they're really nice. I stamped, James signed. I have them here. Come get one with your name on it. If you don't pick it up tonight, we're going to mail them out. But we don't want to waste money on stamps. So hopefully some of you are here. All right, I want to do some thank yous. Thank you to Janine Ransom, who's back there collecting money. That isn't why I'm thanking her, but thank you for that. Janine's one of my best friends. So she brought all the fried chicken. This has become an annual ritual in August. So she told me 3 months ago, I'll do August and fried chicken. Great, got you down. I also want to thank Gail Marcus for the salad. And Leo Boyle, where are you? There's Leo. Thank you for bringing all the different potato salads. And where's Randy? I don't see Randy.
And we have a brownie maker too.
Yeah, Randy Ross, where are you?
Green cap.
Well, he's right there. Randy Ross. Did you make the brownies?
Yes, he did.
Thank you. That is all I'm eating for dinner. Probably not good for a diabetic, but what the hell. Anyway, thank you to all of you. What I need is other people to sign up to bring food for September, October. We have no meeting in November because we're doing our wine and cheese party at Chris Hansen's house. That's traditional. And December, we do our holiday party where we buy all the food. But I need people to sign up for September and October. I only have 4 people right now, 2 for September, 2 for October. So if you are willing to bring some food, see me before you leave, and I'll put you on the list. I think that is it. I hope everybody is energized over the last 3 weeks. This is totally amazing. I'm so re-energized. We're getting so many calls in the office every day. Everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to volunteer. The biggest question we're getting right now, where can I get a Harris yard sign? James and I will be talking about that tomorrow, but we haven't gotten any yet, but we will. But what I did, I had 20 leftover Biden-Harris signs, which I thought I'll just put up again this year. So now I'm putting blue tape over Biden's name and leaving it as Harris. I was going to put Walls above her name, but I don't know how that would look. But anyway, we will get merchandise. I'm sure the state party will get merchandise. So hang in with us. We got to get through the convention first, which is less than 2 weeks away. How many of you are going to the convention? You're going? I know Sterling's going. I know James is going. James is now a DNC, what did you say, title?
DNC member, Democratic National Committee.
Yeah. So we expect James to have Kamala Harris here to see us. Anyway, all right. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to move on. Where is Stella? Oh. I'm going to ask Stella Yu to come up. Stella's the HD5 A or B?
Finance chair.
Finance chair. I don't know. A and B, so kind of like 6 does it. Stella is extremely involved.
She's the assistant treasurer.
What?
Of Denver Dome.
Treasurer of the county.
Assistant.
I do that at night.
I forgot what I was saying. Thanks. You know I have Alzheimer's half the time. So Stella's going to run down everything that's going on with the Dash for Democracy on August 18th. We have a lot of people that are participating. You can participate as well. So it's my pleasure to turn this over to our friend Stella Yu.
Thank you, Mark. It's exciting to hear a different conversation at the table. 2 weeks ago, you know what. But now, our hearts are lifted. We had, last Friday night, we had a booth at the Art District on Santa Fe. And normally, that was a Denver Dance booth. And we did GOTV and that sort of thing, and get people excited. And normally we get 30 people all night long. This time, we had this issues game that they can participate in. Not so much a game, but we had 9 issues, and we gave them puffballs and said, these are votes, these are your ballots. You get to vote on 3 of them. We had 1,303 votes. Wow. So you divide that into 3 per person, that's about 434.2%. That's amazing. And people actually thanked us for being there and said how excited they are about this, about Harris. and how glad that we're doing the Dash for Democracy and the rally for Kamala. So, I mean, that was so uplifting. We stayed there until 10. We said, we gotta go, jamming's time and so on. So, you've probably seen these flyers. They're on your table. We started out Dash for Democracy. This is our 3rd year. But of course, we have to add Dash for Harris. So the walk run is our normal bit, but we also realize that some people prefer lawn chairs. So we have the lawn chair category, which is, just donate $10, you can come and cheer. Then, when Harris announced her nomination, we just said, this is it. We have to do something. We cannot afford not to do anything. So we added this Dash for Harris, and we'll start the morning at 8 o'clock during registration. Shortly after registration, we'll start with the rally on stage. And we are getting some short clips, videos, and we're also trying to get something from the Harris campaign, the coordinated campaign. And talking about yard signs, my goal is to get 1,000 yard signs, maybe a little high. Maybe we won't get any, I don't know. James is going to do some magic tomorrow about that. Oh, yes. Yard signs. Get us some yard signs for the event.
Takes donations.
That's everybody wants yard signs.
Yes. But if we have it there, you can pick up yard signs there. Wouldn't that be great? So, it's really easy to, where is it? City Park, when? August 18th, which is Sunday, a week from Sunday. And if you think 8 o'clock is too soon, some of us get to be there at 5. And we have that opportunity for you. I have a volunteer list that Beth tasked me to do. It's also, I forwarded the link to you. You can sign up on the Google Doc. I think there's something wrong with the Google Doc because it has not been shared right, so you may not be able to enter information for 2 more days until Beth comes back. But this one here has all the yellow lines that we still need volunteers. The first one is really simple, and I think I met 2 candidates tonight already. Somebody to handle children's activities. Didn't I hear some educators? There we go. Right. So I'm going to pass this around. Put your name in the yellow line there. So we can fill out some of these spaces. Most of them are pretty simple. Gatekeeper, somebody to make sure cars don't come in. Set up event, and tear down is pretty much taken care of. We need some big guys, security. We have Ron, but we need a couple more. And we'll dress you up so that you look scary. And registration check-in. Anybody that's careful about managing, people, checking them in quickly. We still need quite a few people in that row. So please don't be shy. And if you want to get tickets, the QR code on your flyer will get you right to Eventbrite. We ordered some T-shirts and changed it from yellow to lime green, and you know why, right? But the deadline was a couple days ago, so I had to place the order ahead. However, I have an inventory that, because I know I'm coming to talk to you, and that you will say, how come I didn't get a T-shirt? So I also have 25 T-shirts that is that you can sign up for. if you like. They're just, most of them are large and extra large. There are just a few in small and medium. So if you want to sign up and hold on to one of those inventory t-shirts, please feel free to do so. Questions? Who would like to volunteer? Yay! Okay. Are there any interest in t-shirts tonight?
Wait, just 2 hands on this old room.
Yeah, really. Well, I know you're thinking about it. You're just feeling a little shy. So let me just take this around to the different tables. You can take a look. And it would be fun. It would be. Oh, one of the things that we're doing is called tent talk. The original idea of having a tent gives shade, right? So you are not running, you want to hang out someplace, there's a tent, a shade for you to sit down, and you can talk about how depressed you are and that sort of thing. But now, we don't need to be depressed. So the tent talk is whatever the House District would like to chat about. We don't have opportunities to meet other House Districts, seldom. So we don't know who is in 3 or 5 or 7 and so on. So this is an opportunity to just sit around and chat about anything that you would like to talk about. And we're looking for a couple of people to kind of guide the conversation so there's no fist fights going on or something like that. Okay, you know where to find me. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. I forgot to introduce a couple other people. As James said, Stella is our assistant treasurer for the county. Matthew Logan is sitting here. He is our assistant secretary and lives in HD6. Abe Call is in the back. He's our county secretary, who also lives in HD6. Am I missing anybody else?
Jared Bynum?
No, you're not.
Jared Bynum, actually here. I'm so impressed.
I think just for you.
I know. He texted me yesterday.
I think this morning.
Do you have me down to bring cookies tonight?
It's
Like-
going to be peach cobbler for Colorado Day
Well, you wrote down cookies.
or muffins.
Well, I want the cookies. Last year, I think it was for Colorado Day, he did these unbelievable cookies. Were they like shortbread or something? And they had the Colorado flag on them. They were so cool. Anyway, and he brought them to my house the night before at like 11 o'clock.
I was in San Diego.
Yeah. Anyway, Jared is our second vice chair and also lives in HD6. So HD6 is well represented. You all know James Reyes, our county chair, my successor. And James doesn't live in House District 6. He lives in House District 8. All right, so next up, I'm going to ask Hazel Gibson to come up. Hazel and I have been friends for many years. And Hazel's going to talk to you about Initiative 89, the Colorado. It's not the number. Things change quick. The Colorado Right to Abortion and Health Insurance Coverage. You are the director of Progress Now, right? The Abortion Rights Director for Progress Now. When I have questions, who do I text or call? Anyway, it's my pleasure to introduce my good friend Hazel Gibson.
Hi, thank you for the warm welcome. It's nice to be back in my old house district, but I'm now in HD8. So anyhow, my name is Hazel Gibson. I am the Abortion Rights Director at Progress Now, Colorado. I have been working on the abortion ballot measure for the last year, over a year now. So we are officially on the ballot. I know y'all know that. And it was due to y'all, some of y'all in this room. We don't have a number. So they will assign us a number next month when they start to print the ballots. We were told it was going to be 79 or 80. If there is a special session, that actually might change. So don't count on having a number until they print the ballots. So this ballot measure will codify the right to abortion in Colorado. It will put it in the Constitution, which gives it a higher level of protection, which is so very important because we never know what's going to happen at the federal level. So a thing about this campaign, we have been running it for over a year. It has been, it's put on by a coalition of orgs. So there's actually 7 of us that sit at the same table. So it's Planned Parenthood, Progress Now Colorado, Cobalt, New Era, Interfaith, ACLU, and Calor. And I'm probably missing one because I say that a lot and then I'll get it mixed up. So we are all, I am the principal from my org, so this is something that is has my blood, sweat, and tears in it. So we collected over 200,000 signatures. We trained over 1,100 volunteers to collect signatures. We have had 44 fundraisers across the state. We have raised around $3 million in state alone from individuals. But we still have a long road ahead of us because it is a constitutional amendment. We actually have to get 55% of the vote. So it is a higher bar. So we raised the bar, I think, back in 2016, 2017, and now we have to meet that threshold. And as you heard me say with all the different numbers, there's a very, very long ballot. So we have to make sure that people realize it is on the ballot, that they don't just vote for presidential and then turn it in, but they have to go through and make sure to vote for the abortion ballot measure. And I do want to throw in there that there is also a marriage equality is going to be on the ballot, and that is also constitutional. So they also have to reach 55%. So, yes, ma'am.
I'm concerned because I have heard maybe from men that they don't like the rules of vote because they don't believe in, family peace. I wonder as foreigners that we are presenting that we're not trying to wave a flag and say, yeah, abortions are for sale, you're come to say, have a different format or something. Because there's a couple men out for sure that I know that are in Elizabeth and so that are saying they don't think they're being told, they wouldn't vote for Trump. But they think we're just pushing abortions for sale now, abortions. And I don't think we've done a good job to explain there.
You're not wrong. I mean, I think 20 years ago, if we had talked about abortion as healthcare versus as a choice, this would be a very different conversation, if I'm being very honest. But the fact is, abortion is healthcare. When you restrict elective abortions, you are restricting actual healthcare to people in emergency situations as well. You can't differentiate the two. For the most part, most people understand that abortion is healthcare. I think we've been doing a good job. I know the campaign, that is how we talk about it, and we will continue to. But I agree that we probably missed the mark quite a few years ago. Yes, ma'am.
At the art festival, the art walk that I was at, and also the Dragon Boat Festival, reproductive rights have the number one book, the largest book. You need to talk into the microphone.
So at the festival, at the art festival on Friday, and at the Dragon Boat, abortion rights had the number one. Reproductive rights.
Right. Number one.
Was the number one vote. That actually is a great segue. We believe we are top of the ticket. We are what are going to drive voters. If they know we are on the ballot, they will vote. And quite frankly, when we were talking about people that think Colorado is safe, or in Denver, where they think it's very democratic and safe, it is important to make sure that we are communicating that abortion is on the ballot, because it will actually drive voters, and we're going to have a really big ballot. So, yes, it is incredibly popular. Our polling shows that as long as we raise the money and reach the voters, that we will win. But that is, the next section, part of our job. Yes.
Sorry.
Another language we could use
rights is reproductive rights. Because that is what we are talking about, is the ability of a family, not just a woman, the ability of a family. Did you hear Tim Walz talk about how he and his wife had been receiving IVF for years? This decision is not just a woman's decision, it's a family decision, it's the decision of parents and child. It is our ability to reproduce, this reproductive rights in, and not just abortion rights.
Well, this is codifying the right to abortion in our Constitution. So I just want to be very clear on that. You're definitely correct in that it is reproductive rights, but this very specific thing will codify the right to abortion in our Constitution.
Hi, thanks for coming out. I'm curious if you're seeing a response to the ballot initiative, outside of traditional Democratic strongholds, where this has become more of an issue.
Yes. We are not just targeting Democrats. We are absolutely targeting unaffiliated and actually Republican women. So we see that this is a very popular issue. It's been a popular issue across the country. That's actually what has been difficult, is because there's been so much going on at the national level, and people think that we're safe enough that they don't understand why it is so important.
I have a big house. So this is important not just for the issue itself, but in a state that is pretty blue now, this will drive people to vote. And it's important not just for the presidential election. Look at CD3, CD8, with their close elections, other things like on the House side. This can get people out.
And we are specifically targeting CD8 for turnout, as well as CD3, especially in Pueblo.
There will be a lot of initiatives on that now.
A ton.
Is 89 a high position in the list of state initiatives?
We don't have our number yet. So the way that they number the ballot is actually who turns it in and gets certified. So the question was 89, the number, like where we're going to be on the ballot. We actually don't know. Okay, so 89 was our number. We were collecting signatures, but now we don't have a number. So we thought it was going to be 79 or 80, but like I said, there might be a special session. There might be a couple of them coming off. We don't know. So if we honestly don't know where our number is going to be. It's going to be around there, and it's going to be kind of buried in the ballot, and that is a little scary for us. Yes.
Is there any social media that we can follow that might have messaging that we could share in our network?
Do you want me to repeat that? Yes, she asked if there was any social media that y'all could follow. There absolutely is. So the campaign is Coloradans for Protecting Reproductive Freedom. And we have all the socials. It should be CO for Repro. That was my little, I made that one up. And I can also send all this information over to Mark, and he can get it out to you as well, because we also have some other ways that you can get involved. So we have social media that you can follow and share, which will help educate voters. We have a fundraiser on Tuesday, January 20th. That's actually going to be a joint fundraiser with Marriage Equality at Lady Justice Brewing. Tuesday, not January. I'm just ready for January. August 20th at 5:30 at Lady Justice Brewing, and it's going to be a joint fundraiser. So it's going to be with Marriage Equality as well as our ballot measure, and it should be a fun event.
From the discussion that was had a little earlier, I have my own ideas, but what does the campaign want done when you're talking to people that are anti-choice?
Tell them not to vote.
Yeah. Honestly, I will tell you, as someone that has ran many, many, many campaigns, if someone is not in support, don't have the conversation. It's not worth your time and energy. If it's someone that's on the fence, if it's someone that has questions, absolutely engage with that person, because a lot of times education can help. But if someone just does not believe in a woman's right to choose what they want to do with their own body, do not waste your breath. Yes.
This is just This is just a technical question. In terms of protecting reproductive rights and protecting the right to abortion, does it apply? Are there any does it apply to? Does it because I know right now if you're I think you're 14 or older you can get an abortion. Does it apply to minors? Are there any carve-outs? Are there any restrictions? Or any what's the scope? Just in case I could ask the question does
if I'm going to be honest, in this state it's easier at 13 to get an abortion than it is to get a piercing. We actually don't have a lot of restrictions around abortion. We're one of 7 states that have no gestational limits. And we have seen, with all of these states restricting, we have actually seen an influx of people that come here. And let's be very clear, after 21 weeks, it's less than 1% of all abortions occur. They are typically emergent situations, but that is healthcare. These people's lives are in danger, and then they come here for us to save their life. So that's why we have no gestational limits. That's why we make it as easy as possible, because we believe it is your choice.
So in the measure in the Constitution, is it just says the right?
It literally, the words are 2 sentences. I'm going to paraphrase because I don't have my phone on me, but it's literally you have the right to an abortion without any obstruction from the government. It is the most simplest language, and it makes it very, very clear. And I think it even talks about insurance coverage. And I can get into that policy if you're a policy wonk, if you'd like me to.
Actually, can you get into that?
I can.
And then following on an earlier question, what do you find are the most persuasive messages to people that are on the fence? How do you talk about the issue? Do you talk about it as a personal freedom? Do you talk about IVF? Do you talk about what really
talk about it as a personal freedom? That's how we speak about it, because it is a personal freedom, and that our polling shows is very popular. So it's about a personal choice, a personal freedom, and the government should have no interference in what I decide to do with my body.
And then can you talk about the insurance coverage?
Yes, okay. So get into the nitty gritty. So 2 sessions ago, we actually passed a piece of legislation that required private insurance coverage to cover abortion. Okay, that happened two sessions ago. Through that process, we realized that we had a ban on the books from 1984 or 86, I think it's 86, that barely passed. That said that no state funds could go to abortion. Well, the issue with that is, does anyone know who the #1 employer in the state of Colorado is? State of Colorado. So any person that works for the state of Colorado does not have the same coverage as I do on my health care plan. So that includes not just your legislators, that includes your teachers, that includes firefighters, that includes nurses, anyone that works for the UC health system, because that is considered any university. So we have a large section of people that do not have access to the same coverage that the rest of us do. This would lift that, and it would make it so everyone has that coverage. Because let's be very honest, if you can't afford it, do you actually have access? No. But we don't talk about that to persuadables.
I would also like to add to the question of how do you broach this subject with people who are on the fence. And I've been having this conversation with my mom. She's an active liberal, and I grew up at her side. Anyway, she shares the anecdotal stories that you might hear in the news, like the worst ones that you hear, where doctors literally have to ask if she's bled enough in order to possibly proceed with the operation, and women actually dying because they can't get an abortion. So I think if you have seen anything in the media with a terrible story like that, that is definitely one that can have some influence with a person who's open to persuasion.
And I'll be very honest about my own story. I have 2 beautiful children. Some of you all know them, a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. And before I had my 12-year-old, I had an ectopic pregnancy, and it ruptured and I bled internally. and I needed to have emergency surgery, and I was in Texas at the time. If I had lived in Texas today when that occurred, I probably would have died or been unable to then have my beautiful children. And that's real. That's a real story. That is a story that a lot of people can identify with. And a lot of people don't understand that in a medical, when we're talking about abortion as healthcare, ectopic pregnancy, that I had an abortion. That was an abortion. It was not an elective abortion, but it was an abortion. And so, yes, you can talk about some of the worst stories, but you can also talk about, I guarantee you, the person next to you has had a miscarriage. The person next to you has had an ectopic pregnancy. Those are real stories. And when you humanize it, people understand it better. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. You don't talk to people who disagree with it, but the other thing that you don't want an argument either way is that they don't support it. Is that
Did you hold the mic to your
okay?
There.
It's women's health care, and that what they don't get is if we don't have this available to women, doctors are not trained to do it. So when women go to hospitals, they receive inadequate health care.
Yes, that is absolutely true. I mean, right now, Texas has one of the highest infant mortality rate in the country, I believe. So, yes.
This is a technical question. So if you're, let's say, 70 on the ballot, does that mean that there are 70 issues?
No, but there will be a lot. It's going to be a very long ballot, and y'all should all be very prepared for that.
So if in fact what we want people to do is vote not just the top of the ticket, but also for the issues, is there going to be, are we going to be talking about go to page 7 and
no, we should actually tell people to vote from the back of the ballot forward or down the ballot. You need to make sure they vote the whole ballot. We've had to do this before when I was with the party.
Okay.
It is the way we talk to voters, though, but it is making sure that they know that these important things are on the ballot, because there's going to be a lot of them.
It's just so you know, that's one of the things that when we do the GOTV, which is get out the vote, we have a listing of the issues, and we tell people what they are and what we recommend. That doesn't mean they're going to do it, but we tell them what we think they should do. But we do tell them all that stuff, because otherwise how are they going to?
And the party already voted in support, so it'll be on there.
So, but I wanted to share, my daughter-in-law lives in Wisconsin, and she has one child, and she's afraid to try to get pregnant again because she's a little older, and she doesn't have access to abortion care. It's very sad.
Karen.
Has anybody turned the table around and asked men over a certain age to have a vasectomy?
Actually, vasectomies are on the rise, so you're onto something there.
So I want to clear up a couple of things because I work down at Denver elections a lot. The ballot is going to be 8 pages, 4 fronts, 4 backs. It's the longest ballot we supposedly have ever had. And it's not finalized yet. Yesterday was the last day, I believe, to turn in signatures.
Yes, that's why all the anti-trans things did not make the ballot.
So we will know, I believe, by September 6th, what has made the ballot and what hasn't. But it is a very long ballot. And the other thing you need to know, not every ballot issue is going to be voted on at our Central Committee meeting. Otherwise, we'd be on a meeting for, 2 days nonstop. Our Central Committee meeting, if you are a member of Central Committee, is going to be September 21st, right? It will be virtual.
No, first.
We're doing in person.
We are.
Oh, and
We're gonna get together.
Does Megan know this? She told me it was virtual.
She booked the location today, so.
Where is it?
Well, we're waiting for a response to South High School.
Yeah, here we go again. We go through this all the time. Anyway, I'm glad it's going to be in person because it's much more effective. So we can't possibly vote on every ballot issue, but we will vote on the ones that are really important, and we will take a stand either as Central Committee of Denver supports or opposes or takes no position. So if you are a PO and you are on Central Committee, you will get your call. It's an email called The Call. You should get it September 11th, maybe a day before. And you need to make sure that you're there. Or if you're not going to be there for some reason, you need to find somebody to carry your proxy. We need full attendance at that meeting.
What date?
September 21st, Saturday. So
When will the sample ballots go out?
after that, we can't even finish the sample ballots until we vote, and then our team that's working on those will have stuff ready, and then they'll be able to put in everything. So they probably, I would say, I don't know, what do you think, October 1st?
So we'll have the sample ballots laid out, and we'll probably have a pretty good idea on how some of these issues people will vote on, right? So we'll get everything as prepared as possible. So the committee happens, we know what the decision is, we just fill it all in and send it to prayer. So,
Are you going to take any position on the Denver ballot initiatives? Because
yes,
we have a separate ballot.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially that, because that's where our voice is most powerful, because the state party will also be voting on the statewide issues. And I'm not of the appetite to come to the state, so I'll let the state lead on the statewide issues. On the local issues, this is where we have a voice.
Okay, folks, one or two more questions for Hazel, and then I want to move on to our final event here. Sally Ann, did you raise your hand? Okay. Any more questions for Hazel? All right, please give Hazel a big round of applause.
Thank you.
All right. We were supposed to have 3 speakers for the Democratic National Convention and Harris campaign discussion. One of them, unfortunately, has COVID. Alex Gutierrez couldn't join us tonight. But we're very excited to have 2. And they are James Reyes. You've already heard from him. James is our county chair, Democratic National Convention delegate, and Democratic National Committee member. Elect.
Until the convention's over.
Apologies. And our second is Sterling Sims. Sterling is a Democratic National Committee delegate. He is also the operations coordinator for the mayor's office.
All right, real quick, I'm going to take chair privilege real fast. Everybody got their certificates, yes? POs? How many POs are in here? Raise your hands again, please. And you did get your certificates. Okay, that's great. So I just want to make sure. And then as Mark mentioned, Central Committee meeting is on the 21st of September. POs, you must go. It's not optional. And that certificate reminds you that you have obligations in this role, right? So let's make sure we show if you can't, you got to appoint a proxy. So I wanted to start by saying, doesn't it feel good to be a Democrat today? Yeah. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, as county chair before 2.5 weeks ago, in fact, I was at an HD8 event the Saturday night before Biden announced he was dropping out, which is on Sunday. I go to this event and it's, like, what's wrong with y'all? And I showed up late. I'm like, we're gonna lose. I'm like, you guys have got to snap out of that mood now, because we will lose if you have that attitude. Exactly. Well, then Sunday comes. I get a barrage of texts. I didn't even read the news. I just got texts. I'm like, oh, what? Really? And then some texts were just like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, what? So I kind of figured maybe something big happened. So I went and pulled up my news app, and there it was. I'm like, wow. But then if you remember, there was like an hour, I guess, or half an hour between Biden's dropout announcement and endorsing of Kamala Harris. So,
it was 11 minutes, actually.
Was it 11 minutes?
11
well, that was sort of like a long 11 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
So what happened when the president dropped out? Like Sterling and I are both national delegates. We became unpledged.
Yeah.
We were free to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And by the way, when people say that this is just some orchestrated thing, it wasn't, because we could have said, no, we're going to do something else. We had every right as delegates to say we're not going to support Kamala. I certainly would have done that, but I could have. Sterling could have. But organically, the party coalesced, which I thought was amazing. Democrats actually all aligned that fast.
Yeah.
I mean, as a party leader, I was amazed at that. You people are hard to manage. I'm just going to tell you. So it was just amazing that we had it together. And we started to coalesce behind the vice president. And not only did we just coalesce behind the vice president, we did it with all this enthusiasm. I'm like, man, it feels like 2008 again. Who remembers 2008 and the way it felt? Right? And not only that, not only did we coalesce behind Kamala, we also got the upper hand in the election, because now we're owning the narrative. We're defining the Republicans. We're defining Donald Trump. This whole weird thing works. And you know why it works? Because Republicans are stuffy, uptight assholes who like everyone to conform to the narrow view of what every human being needs to be. So when you call them weird, it really touches them at their core. No, I'm not weird. You're weird. If I were to call anybody in this room weird, the reaction would be different. Yeah, I'm weird. If you're not weird, you're not interesting. That's the way I think about it. It doesn't affect us as Democrats the same way. These uptight assholes are going to get freaked out by a simple word like weird, and it's good. Their reaction is just what I want to see. And I want to see Donald Trump spiraling out of control, saying more and more ugly things because he doesn't know what to do and nothing he's trying is sticking. And let me tell you, as a gay Chicano who is married to an immigrant from the Philippines, all our paperwork is in order, mind you, but still, we were very scared. He's applying for citizenship. And I'm like, what does this mean if Trump becomes president?
No.
I mean, you read the stories. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Operation Wetback back in the 50s. How American citizens themselves got deported to Mexico. You know, how many of you seen the movie Born in East LA? I mean, that was like a classic from the 80s, right? I don't know. It kind of felt like that, right? Like, that was kind of real. That was based on a real thing in a sense.
It was.
And I'm like, what does that mean?
Mass deportation now.
And then we're living in a culture. Just Saturday, we celebrated, I would not call it a celebration, we marked the 5th anniversary of the mass shooting at Walmart in El Paso, Texas. You all remember that, 2019. And my aunt was among those who were killed in that shooting. This stuff is real, right? So here I am scared of what the Trump victory will mean. Here I have me being a member of a traumatized family in my home community of El Paso, Texas, a traumatized community. This stuff is real, right? The culture that they create, gun violence, the harm against LGBTQ people. This is all real stuff.
Women.
Yeah.
Women, please, of course, absolutely. And by the way, wouldn't it be sweet justice to see Donald Trump beaten by a black South Asian woman? I mean, come on. It's just amazing. Anyway, I'm super excited. Sterling, I don't want to take all thunder. Why don't you share what's on your mind?
Yeah, this is my 3rd year living here in Denver as of last week, and if you had told me 3 years ago that I would have been elected to the Democratic Convention, I would have thought you were crazy. If you told me 3 years ago that I would have been elected to this Democratic Convention, I would have thought you were high. So the last 2 months in our politics have been among the most historic of any election in modern American history. It's kind of crazy. But the thing about us Gen Zers is we know that elections have consequences. You don't have to tell us that. We of all people know that. I was born on October 8th, 2000. And exactly 1 month later, 538 Democrats stayed home in the state of Florida. And George W. Bush was elected president of the United States. That changed forever the country that me and everybody in my generation would be raised in. 11 months later, he fails to stop the worst attack in our country's history, and he launches a series of wars that we're still dealing with to this very day. And on top of all of these things, he does things like increase tax cuts, gives the bulk of this nation's wealth into the hands of the people who already had it, and essentially stood idly by as the fruits of that labor resulted in the worst recession we had since 1929. We know that elections have consequences and that losers don't legislate. So you can imagine just how freaked out we were when Joe Biden had that debate performance. That was just devastating to us. And as much confidence as I had in him, and as I have no doubt that he's the best president I've had in my lifetime, it was pretty nerve-wracking right there. But I'll never forget the day before he announced he was withdrawing, we actually had a delegate event. We had a party where all the delegates statewide came together in Bailey, I believe it was, or Evergreen. Evergreen, that's right. We all came together to rally for Joe Biden, and the atmosphere in that room was indescribable. I'll never forget that. Before we went there, I went to a store to pick up some beer to bring to the party, and I had my HD6 Central Democrats t-shirt. And as I go up to the counter to be rung up, the lady behind the counter looks at me, and the life just drains from her face. And she looks at me and she goes, "What are we going to do about Joe Biden?" Well, the next day we got our answer, and he put country over self. He wrapped up his 55 years of faithful service to this country with one of the most selfless decisions that he could have possibly made. And in so doing, he has stopped the further evolution of this Republican Party that was given to us by the first Republican that was elected in my lifetime. He has put us on the track to actually begin to go away from that brand of politics, of us versus them, of grievance and insecurity, and he's actually putting us on this path to hope. And so I couldn't be more thrilled for Kamala Harris, for Governor, soon-to-be Vice President Walz. I think they are the absolutely perfect duo to prosecute the case against America's Hitler and the guy who called him that. So couldn't be more thrilled for Chicago.
Yeah.
I wanted to share a little bit about the delegate experience so far. So we've had a few social events like Sterling mentioned, and we also, when we were released and became unpledged delegates, in order for a candidate to be put into contention, they had to get the signatures of 300 delegates split up by the state, so no state could submit more than 50 or have more than 50 counted towards the 300. So that was the first step. And so I guess a little over a week ago, we got a petition sent, emailed to all of the delegates, and it was a free-form field. Again, we can do whatever we want. We had to write in Kamala Harris's name or whoever you wanted to support. But within hours, Kamala had already gotten enough signatures. In fact, so many that there wasn't even room for somebody else to make threshold at all. So, and then we wrapped that up. So Kamala was now the only name on the floor. And then, as you might be aware, we had to do a virtual roll call of all the national delegates. And that started, was it Thursday? Thursday, right? Yeah. And it just wrapped up yesterday, Monday. And the reason we had to do this, as some of you might be aware, is due mainly to a law in Ohio where these bastard Republicans, they deliberately had refused to move the deadline to accommodate us, which was kind of standard operating procedure in all the states, to accommodate the national convention dates. But, they're going to play their dirty games and they're going to do what they do. They finally did come up with a law, but it doesn't go into effect at the end of the month, and it's just, do we trust them? I don't know. So what we ended up doing is we ended up doing a virtual roll call, and the voting closed yesterday, and so now Kamala Harris is officially our nominee. Officially. Now, we will go to the convention and we'll still do a roll call, but it'll be really ceremonial, but that's fun, when they call all the states and the great state of Colorado, the home of this and blah, 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 gives all 87 votes to Kamala, next president of the United States, Kamala Harris, right? You've seen conventions, you know how that works. So we'll still be able to do that, which I'm looking forward to. That's kind of a fun thing. And then for me, the day after the convention goes Monday through Thursday. After the convention adjourns, I have to stick around one more day because I was elected to be a member of the Democratic National Committee by the state convention, which was in March. So I was one of 4 people who elected to the to the National Committee. We get sworn in. And then once we're sworn in, I serve for a 4-year term on the National Committee. So that's going to be a fun adventure. I really don't have much, I'll admit, I don't have many connections at the national level. I did have a phone call with the national secretary, so there's my first connection, but there's still a lot more I got to do. So I'm gonna be networking like crazy during the convention and try to meet as many people as I can, and do all I can to be an effective member of the DNC. So I will represent you on the DNC for 4 years. Did you have anything else about the delegate experience that you wanted to share?
Nothing in particular, other than it's kind of wacky to just go to county assembly and get elected and go through that process. So I don't know if maybe we want to talk about what that looks like, or.
And the way that the delegates are elected, by the way, we did that at the Congressional District Assembly, CD1. Y'all are in CD1. So CD1, we had our county assembly, if you remember. We did that virtually. And then like a week later or something, we had our CD1 assembly. And Susan Rogers, who's the CD1 chair, presided over that, if you remember. And then that's where we elected delegates. Delegates were also elected at the it's actually technically the CD1 convention. There's a stupid technicality there. And then at the state convention, we also elected more delegates. And the other thing we do there is we also elect electors. So we did elect electors who will be on the Electoral College. And then we also elected members of the Democratic National Committee, which is what I ran for as well. And that was all done through that assembly process that you all participated in. How many delegates to the county assembly are here? Really? County assembly?
Except I had to get a
What?
I didn't get to go. I was a delegate. But
Okay. Well, I don't need a footnote. Just yes or no would be good. Okay. All right. No, that was so. That's how that process worked, and then so Sterling, you got elected to CD1 too, right?
So I was elected at large. So all the delegates are elected just in various categories. So we have some electeds, or some folks who are elected to represent their specific congressional district. My colleague Alex Gutierrez, who was not able to join tonight, he's actually elected to CD1. So we have folks who are elected to represent each district. We then have our party leaders, like James Reyes, I believe you're,
no, I got elected from CD1.
Oh, you're CD1,
I was on
right?
Clio.
So we have Clios who are party leaders and elected officials. Then we have at-large delegates, which is what I am one of them. There's 16 of those, a couple of electors, and I think that's DNC members as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. I'm curious. Any questions about the process or yeah?
How many delegates from Colorado?
87. Right, and that includes pledge delegates because we were elected. The pledge delegates are the elected ones, and then a number of people are automatic delegates. Governor Roy Romer, by the way, he used to be chair of the national committee, and that makes him a delegate for life. So he's the one person from my delegation who is automatically a delegate every time. Now he's like 96 years old now.
He's 96.
Yeah, he's still all there. It's amazing. We've seen him at some of our socials. He's still going strong at 96. It's amazing. What? Sorry? Oh, the Westin, Madison Avenue.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then the convention itself is at the United Center. Well, good. I think is that anything else?
We have a question back there.
Going to the high schools and registering kids. Do we have programs started to do that again? I hope.
Well, yeah. GOT. So we're working on a GOT plan. It's coming about. It's almost done, but there'll be voter registration is definitely an important component of that. That's not really related to the convention, though. I think you're just asking a more general question. Yes. All right. Did you have something? Oh. Well, real quick, just a reminder again, at that Central Committee meeting, for those of you going on the 21st, prepare for a long one. You heard Mark talk about how long that ballot is. And we're not going to necessarily vote on everything on it, but we will vote on a lot. So it's going to be a busy day, so please come to that.
Where is it?
Well, we don't have a venue booked quite yet. Probably going to be at South High School, and usually we gavel at 11 a.m. So we'll probably do the same thing. The details will come. You'll get emails. All right.
So if you're coming and it starts at 11 a.m., get a hotel room. We're going to be there long.
James, and anybody's eligible to come to that?
So anybody can show up, yes,
okay.
But you have to be a precinct organizer, member of the Central Committee in order to vote. But anybody can come.
Okay.
So I just want to say one thing. James Reyes, is my predecessor. Is that the right word?
Successor.
Successor, whatever.
Mark was chair before me.
So I was chair for 4 years. The last 2 years, James was my vice chair. This man works so damn hard and does so much. Yes, let's hear it. He's like doing everything, and of course he's sucked me back into doing almost everything.
I still got a full-time job. I don't know. So, anyway, I think we're done. Yeah.
Any more questions? Going once, going twice. All right, please give James and Sterling a big round of applause. All right, everybody, thank you very much for coming tonight. 2 last things. Mark has asked me, please, 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 we have leftover cookies and ice cream. Make yourself a plate of cookies, take them home, make yourself a bowl of ice cream, or just take one of the tubs, because it's not going to go to use if you don't take it. And last thing, please help us collapse the tables and chairs. There's a cart for the tables, and there are carts for the chairs as well. Thank you very much for coming. Have a good night.
I'm getting so many. I don't think there's another one.